live and something or other here for Hiding and Safe. That was a terrible introduction. Well, anyway, we're here anyway. Welcome, folks. I'm going to hand it off to D. Go for it, buddy.
What's going on, everybody? This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You have to be 21 and over to be here. If not, you have to get out. That means you in the back. I see you. Back to you,
Wait, are
Humidor.
we even streaming? I'm not sure that we're live streaming yet. I think it's still preparing.
I got a notification.
You did get a notification?
No, I'm still
No.
waiting.
I think they're still setting up. All right, we're still not live yet. Okay, we might
That means
we
you in
might
the
be
back.
live
I
now.
see you.
All right, there we go.
Back to you,
So now we're
Humidor.
live. Boom. All right. D, can you do your thing again? Because I think it just started with the end of your spiel.
Sure. Welcome, everybody. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You have to be 21 and over to be here. If not, you have to get out. Back to you, Freemy.
Thank you very much. Even if we did it twice, at least it's
Ow.
twice good this time. So thanks very much, folks, for joining us. Welcome. Oh, Bud Kilowatt's already in the chat. In the chat. Apparently, I'm pronouncing things Frenchly.
Oh,
It's because Christophe's in the house. Bonjour, Christophe. He's in the chat. Actually, I'm gonna cat because in French, cat is chat. Le chat. Anyway, Jones Integro is in the house. What's going on? We're getting weirdly linguistic already. Cake and a Cup saying hello, or good morning, rather. Good morning to you as well, Cake and Cup. Hey, Cake, it just occurs to me that I have never once in my entire life, I think, wondered or intentionally found out what Aussies eat for breakfast. Presumably they do eat breakfast because I assume you guys are also warm-blooded mammals. So you probably do eat something in the morning. But
Vegemite.
what is it? Is it like an English breakfast? Cheers, Joel. Good to see you. I was just saying, it occurred to me, I have no idea what an Aussie breakfast looks like. Do you know what an Aussie breakfast looks like, Joel? I was
Bacon,
like,
egg,
what an
potatoes.
English breakfast looks like, or an American breakfast, but I'm like,
Vegemite.
Aussie breakfast.
Vegemite on toast.
That's probably what it is. It's probably just a huge
Ugh.
smear of Vegemite. In fact, it's probably just a spoonful of Vegemite in your coffee.
Or what is it? There's another one called oh shoot. Okay, never mind. I can't think of it, but it's with Vegemite and yeah, it's gross. Yeah, see, I was right. Cake in a cup says Vegemite on toast. That's so gross.
All right. Good to know it. Welcome, D. Speaking of the devil, what's going on with you?
What's going on, chat? What's going on, panel? Thanks for tuning in. I'm just hanging out. I'm smoking on uh shit. I can't Rainbow Runs. That's right. Just hanging, smoking. Oh, and some hash. I got some hash here. Hope everyone's having
Nice.
a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers, everyone.
Go
What's
for it,
going
Norse.
on,
I was
Joel?
just
How's it
thinking that.
going?
Cheers. Yeah, I'm all in my working clothes. I've been out back transplanting. I got done cleaning the greenhouse out. I got all the pots
Nice.
filled. Just had some lunch. I'm gonna have a smoke break, take a break. Actually, have a kid to pick up from school when I get home. Then it's bring the plants out and get them into the greenhouse.
There you
So
go. Endless work.
I have all that done before dinner time, so I can get myself a shower, cleaned up, and then cook dinner.
Nice. Jones Empty Rose saying he's got end of week 4 for a threesome of Black Knight's Delights. Looking good in the organic secret sauce. Good to hear it, Jones. We are I don't know, weird time here outdoors anyway, for flower. I've got a couple plants that I swear are almost done. Lemon tree, it seems way too early, honestly, but lemon tree and what? Actually, my sour Morgana mom both seem really close to being done. And then I got a
Nice.
couple other plants that are barely halfway done. So I'm like, shit, are they even gonna finish? What else? White runts. White runts. I'm like, I don't even know. It's maybe week 3 if I had to guess. So I'm like, man, I got a long way to go before the rains come. I mean, we're already raining a little bit today. What else? Oh, the Sour Morgana Donner. She's about like probably 5 weeks or week 5, some of that. So she's going to need another 3, 4 weeks. So that's already like, that's getting tight there. But it's very interesting. I only have a few plants. I don't have as many plants as you do, of course, North Star outdoors. But it's really funny to see the difference. All these different plants. Oh, I've
I
got
only
a
got one that's actually
Spoon Cake
outdoor.
Jealousy. That's basically like week 7. What's that, North Star?
I only have one that's actual outdoor. The other ones are all under plastic. Yeah, so the rains don't really bother me too much. I'm like, rain, whatever, it'll be all right. Dehumidifiers on.
That's what I need to do. In fact, even what my friend, well, I've had a couple friends that have done this, but definitely my friend Stevie, who I got my Ruby Jack. Well, you probably don't remember me talking about it, but this line that I've been working on for a number of years, my friend Stevie bred it, and he's primarily an outdoor grower on this thing. Built these really nice, just very, very simple, not even greenhouses, just what do you call them? It's like a not a lean-to. I mean, whatever. It's just basically a corrugated plastic roof with a couple of legs, with four legs essentially. I guess when he had a couple at one guy's house, he was growing in a couple of friends' house. At one guy's house, he had three plants in a row, so he had, I think, six columns in there, basically cross braced on the edges, and then just basically the plastic was corrugated, and it was really clever because he oriented the slant because it rains, so you got to have some kind of a slant to it. He oriented the slant towards the north, and I was like, "Why'd you do that?" But basically, to get a little bit more sunlight, and that honestly
when I used to grow outside, I did pretty much the exact same thing. I used big 10-foot T-posts. I'd hammer them in the ground, and I would literally just exactly the ones that were to the north side were like a foot and a half lower than the ones to the south. And I would take greenhouse plastic and zip tie it to the tops of the posts. Right on the little notch on the T-posts, zip tied around the notch that wouldn't come off. And you just, I mean, you're still going to have moisture and wind blown rain a little bit here and there. But as far as the bulk of the rain coming down top of your plants, nah, not to worry about
and
it.
that was the thing. I was amused. I was like, so what? All the rain is coming from the north? But he was like, yeah, basically all the rain or the rain anyway, are mostly falling kind of from that direction.
Sure does.
Fuck, that's really clever, I mean, I don't know, probably in some other part of the world it's different, but where we were, that was really effective. And so the bulk of the rain stayed off the plants. He didn't have a problem with bud rot. He didn't have a problem with powdery mildew. The plants finished on time, like genius. And the best part is Stevie wasn't a guy that had some gigantic budget. He didn't have to pay a fortune for it. I mean, he did have to pay for, I guess, wood has gotten really expensive. So literally 4x6 columns or 4x4 columns rather would be good couple $100 now, but still not $1,000, just a couple $100 to build that. Anyway, really clever.
I mean, I before I used to a couple times set up full on hoops and just covered plastic hoops over them. It's like twice the work, and I don't notice any difference. It's not like it's less mold or, I mean, a little bit less wet in there, but really not that much of a difference. If I was to do a bunch of outdoor plants again, I'd do it the same way. I wouldn't bother setting up hoops anymore. It's not worth the extra plastic and, PVC or metal, whatever you have to be able to add to some T-posts and you're good to go.
Gosh, I'd really like to, maybe next year, I'd like to build some kind of a greenhouse setup, and I don't really want to invest a ton of money into it, honestly, because, well, I'm not ready to do that, honestly. So yeah, it would be nice to build like some essentially hoop houses, and gosh, ideally, I would love to be able to light dep, but that's already kind of pushing it, right? If I want to do something on the cheap and then basically light dep it, I guess I could, right? Like there's no real reason why you couldn't essentially throw curtains over some simple hoop houses, right? You just have to do it every day. But
yeah, it's what I do. I'm physically, I open and close every day. My greenhouses are only 10 by 15, 7.5 foot tall or so. I can really close them by myself. They are a pain to buy. I used to have my wife help me close them, but if people are, I can still close them by myself. I just have to go back and forth from each end and pull it over and shimmy it and then pull the cover over and getting it all straightened out. But it's really not that hard. The hardest part is being committed to knowing your schedule, that you're always going to be home at 7:30 to close them up and everything. But it don't cost that much. I mean, I have I have plastic everywhere. I build the doors out of like extruded aluminum from the store. A couple intake fans, an exhaust fan. Black plastic on the ground. I have a bunch of stones down, some irrigation. Irrigate the valves cost the most expensive part of the irrigation of the valves to turn off each separate sections and everything. This past year, I bought a piece of black and white plastic off of Amazon. It was like half the price of the hydro store because they wouldn't sell me but a whole entire roll. I only needed one piece. I actually found the piece the size I needed, and it was way cheaper than, so it was just convenient. I don't think I'd say if you're to include everything in the greenhouse, dehumidifiers, the whole deal, the 10 by 15 I get easily $1,500. You can have a hoop, plastic pots, dehumidifiers, fans, everything for that much money. So, and you can pull about 5 pounds out of it. So it's worth it. If you only one run a year, it's worth it.
No, that's right. And the added, especially up here anyway, the added security of not having to get rained on. Because
Yes.
in California, yeah, you guys get some rain and dust and fires and smoke and stuff that you have to worry about, but really it's a different set of circumstances. Up here, though, you have to worry about finishing on time and making sure that the bud actually finishes, that you don't have rotted out garbage. I mean, it's not like bud rot doesn't exist in California, but man alive, like it's just this rainy, misty, whatever right now. If it doesn't dry out today, if it basically festers for a few days, that's a great circumstance basically for starting to rot out all the now finishing bud. Because I just said my lemon tree's finishing. I imagine a lot of other people in the Oregon area are finishing right now, late September, stuff like that. So this rain is terrible for us. Having some kind of a protection from that would be spectacular. And not only that, but it drives me nuts that some of the best weather in Oregon I miss out on in terms of growing, because basically there's no point putting my veg plants out in May or June or whatever and just having them freaking get like 15 feet tall and over the fence and everything else. I don't do that. But basically, I could have a whole flower run probably in May to June. Not every year. Sometimes May is still cold, but I guess this year's May was somewhat cold, but the year before was spectacular. I think the year before that was spectacular. I could have done a beautiful crop if I just vegged indoors, or maybe done a little bit of supplemental heating in April, because I think one of the last couple of years, because every year is different these days, right? But one of the last couple of years, I think April was spectacular. But if it wasn't, I could just run the heaters in the greenhouse, do my veg, and then basically run flower in May and June, or June and July. Oh man, be so spectacular. Oh,
Yeah, you'd probably be able to pull off an earlier season like light dep run, no problem, and then coast right into regular flower in a greenhouse, and then shit. Greenhouses are great in the wintertime. Get your stuff, get you all your garden starts for your tomatoes, everything started early in the greenhouse. Gives you that comes in handy for me too. I use the greenhouse for getting all my starts going early in the year and everything like that too.
You actually kind of remind me, when I was a kid, one of my neighbors, I'm trying to remember a little bit more about which neighbor and everything so I could remember more about the details. Anyway, they had a little greenhouse. It wasn't that little. It was probably, because a lot of my neighbors were kind of farmers. I had like turkey farmers and stuff that I grew around. So it was probably like 20 by 20 or something. It was I think it was like a actual commercial greenhouse, because I don't remember it being like hand built or something. But they ran it during the winter. They ran it. They had veggies. They had I can't remember what else. That was a long time ago. But anyway, they had it during the winter and they didn't really do very much to it. So now it's making me think like, fuck, Oregon doesn't really, at least where I live in Oregon, doesn't really get that cold most of the time. So, it'll get freezing at night, but even then, like most of the time, especially these days as we're getting, warmer every year, I don't think it froze during the daytime once this last year, or if it did, it was maybe only 1 or 2 days. So it's like, fuck, the heating concerns are so much different than it used to be. You could honestly run a greenhouse throughout the year in Oregon now. Like that was not a thing in the past, at least in the Willamette Valley. It's a funny thing to think about, like you could totally grow. I mean, in the Willamette Valley, we have roses and hops and all kinds of different commercial crops, not just weed, right? But anyway, by the way, cheers, folks in the chat. Who's getting deleted? Oh, did Cake get deleted? What happened? What did you do, Cake?
I'm just joking around with Cake. Did you read the comment?
He's talking up Vegemite or Marmite. It's
eggs.
Everyone's
eggs and butter.
Product. What are your thoughts on Vegemite and Marmite? North Star, have you had those before?
I have not. The only thing I know about Vegemite is a song, the Vegemite sandwich.
Fuck, are they made of the same thing? Now I don't remember. I think I used to know if these guys were made of the same thing. Vegemite.
I'm kidding, Cake, by the way.
Here we go. There's even an article. You just literally, I love how you could just search. If you know something's been searched a million times, you just start typing and there's already Marmite versus Vegemite. The difference between the two spreads is in both appearance and taste. One tastes like assholes and the other one tastes like buttholes. Joking. Here we go. Share screen. Marmite versus Vegemite. This is according to the Spruce Eats. They're both made from brewer's yeast that are often used in place of butter or on toast or as a sandwich filling. That in place of it is really that's they're putting a lot of value in that. Given that they're both yeast extracts, surely they should taste the same, right? Wrong, apparently. There's a distinct difference between the two flavors, and whether you grew up with Marmite or Vegemite, fuck off, Spruce Eats, will probably determine which you like best, or if you hate them both, as I paraphrase. British Marmite, British favorite Marmite is a rich, dark brown, yeasty spread. That's something you always want to hear about food. For hot toast, wafer biscuits, as sandwich filling, or even as a hot drink.
Oh,
I double dare you. Marmite lovers will tell you it is good on or in almost anything. Of course they would. The spread has a dense, salty flavor, so it is used sparingly. Marmite is made from yeast extract, a byproduct of the beer brewing industry, and is a rich source of the vitamin B complex, which is actually a good thing. Marmite was invented in the late 1800s by a German scientist named Justus von Liebig, when he discovered that leftover brewer's yeast could be concentrated and eaten. Marmite is so beloved that statistics say that 25% of Britons take Marmite with them when traveling out of the country. They literally travel with their Marmite. Marmite has also released a new spread, Marmite XO. It's an aged version of the original. It's said by some to taste more like the Marmite of their childhood. That's what I want, is barrel-aged Marmite.
yeah.
Sherry cask finished Marmite. The Australian Vegemite. Vegemite is from Australia. That it is also available in the UK. And it's also a thick black yeast extract spread. Again, exactly what I want to hear about in the morning. The difference is that Vegemite has added flavors like vegetables and spices, as well as coloring and other additives. So I guess if you want the organic yeast spread, you have to go to the UK. Well, we could joke about that further. Like Marmite, it is spread on sandwiches, crackers, and toast, but in Australia, Vegemite is also used as a filling for pastries. Vegemite was created out of two necessities. One was the fact that World War I disrupted the import of Marmite to Australia, and the other was to find a use for leftover yeast that was being discarded by beer breweries. The creator of Vegemite, Cyril Percy Callister, blended the yeast with salt, onion, and celery extracts, giving it that vegetable characteristic. All right. Yeah, that's about as much as I can.
And another
those.
not Aussie, what's the other one? My mind just went blank.
New Zealand.
Shit. Yeah, New Zealand. A quick New Zealand dishes is one's called the chippy sandwich, which is basically two pieces of bread, Marmite, and then rough rippled chips. You squeeze that together.
I thought you were going to say a chippy sandwich, because I think they have different versions of chippy sandwiches now. I've heard of chippy sandwiches in England, which is just bread with French fries in the middle. Can you imagine that?
Maybe that.
I mean, it sounds good, actually. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of unusual for our taste. We're like, wait. I mean, I guess now I think about it, I've seen people put French fries on burgers and stuff, and I'm just like, why can't you eat that on the side? But whatever. There's this whole trend now of making burgers 6.5 feet tall. I'm like, how do you eat the fucking burger? Like, the sandwich has to be big enough that you can put the motherfucking thing
in your mouth.
Like, seriously, what are you gonna? No, I'm gonna eat it with a knife and fork or some shit. That's not a hamburger.
It's a big mess.
Have you seen that? It's like rage inducing. You see these hamburgers now. The big thing now on I refuse to use TikTok, but my friends send me things, right? And so I reluctantly see the links, and it's like a hamburger that they pour a gigantic thing of fondue cheese, basically, like melted Gruyere or whatever. They'll just it's always weird expensive too. So it's always like $100 hamburger. So it's a regular hamburger and they pour cheese all over it. And I'm like, I don't want to get cheese all over my hands. What you've defeated the entire purpose of the buns and everything. Like it seems like people don't think things through, like the whole purpose of the bun is so that you can encase the contents that you can safely eat it in your, like it's purpose built. It's like a machine. It's a technological machine that people don't even give credit to. And they're like, I'm just gonna cover this with cheese. Like, you've defeated the fucking purpose, basically. You've gotten a knife, and then you basically took the sharp edge off, and then you tried. That's maybe not the best metaphor, but No, do you know what I mean? Like a sandwich is supposed to be something that's portable that you can eat, and then they pour all kinds of shit on it. I'm I'm so enraged by these sandwiches. I'm going to take a dab. I'm kidding. But I'm going to mute myself for a second.
So the other one is the other sandwich they make there is it's called a mousetrap sandwich, which is basically a slice of bread with Vegemite on it, and then shredded cheese, and then they put it in the oven and heat the cheese up.
Oh, that actually sounds pretty good. I mean, the Vegemite, as much as we shit on it, it's probably not that bad. I've had it before. It's fine. It's very like umami, basically. So it's like kind of salty. And you really do need to spread it like super thin because it's quite strong. So it's just basically it's so strong, it's salty strong, is what it is. So if you have too much of it, it's not even really that strong of a flavor, I find, but it's just so fucking salty. So if you were to take like a spoon of it, oh man, that would be like eating like a half a spoon of salt, basically. But like I guess as much as I joke about it, having a little bit of filling on of that in a pastry with potato or whatever would probably be pretty good, honestly. But uh I still find it hilarious that people would just have like bread, French fries, and bread again. And that's the sandwich. Oh, what was the other one? A bacon buddy. The bacon. Well, okay, the bacon buddy actually sounds good, but what did they do that I didn't like about the bacon buddy? It's basically two slices of white bread, butter, and bacon. All right, no, never mind. Bacon buddy, I think is fine. There's another sandwich that I'm like, what on earth are those English people smoking? It's not the cucumber sandwich. Maybe it'll come to me. Anyway, talk amongst yourselves. Bacon buddy actually sounds pretty good, to be honest. The weird thing is though, that they
What, the
don't
cucumber
taste the
sandwich
bread.
was one of the best things I had in Amsterdam when I was over there.
Hmm.
It was just my schedule for eating was so off going to and from shows and everything that I'm like starving for something to eat, and it's like, middle of the night, just the timing is all off. But trying to find something quick on the run to eat wasn't that easy during the middle of the morning. But going by a bakery, the bakery had nice fresh rolls, and they did basically a slice of cheese with some just cucumber on it. I mean, it was a good cucumber, it was good cheese, and it was a fresh baked roll right off the street in Amsterdam. It was actually really good. it was
Man,
better
Europe
than going to a
has us
McDonald's quick
so
bite.
hard on the yeah, Europe has us so hard on the fresh bread. Like in Germany, they literally have a bakery like on every corner. It'll be like a little mini bakery. Sometimes they don't actually bake the bread in that little mini bakery, but they'll literally get it distributed from their local bakery that's like half a mile away. Like it's next level. The amount of people always think it's France that has all the amazing bread, but seriously, and it's cheap as fuck. Like you can get a loaf of wonderful bread for like $1.50, maybe $2.
Well, that was the thing
Here
for
in the
sure.
US,
I
it's
can get
$7.
the fresh stuff was like half the price of going to
Easily.
McDonald's. And I'm
Yep,
like,
yep,
this is
yep. No,
way
it's
better than
weird.
McDonald's. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Another place that I'm really
Yeah.
surprised I haven't had a chance to go to Japan, but friends of mine that have gone to Japan have said the food is just stupid cheap. Like a lovely sushi meal at an actual named chef restaurant will be maybe $50, whereas here in the US, just essentially a mediocre sushi meal will be $100. Very interesting.
No thanks. I'll pass.
You don't like sushi?
I know I don't like food that sticks to my plate.
You don't like food that sticks to your plate?
That sticks to my plate like octopus.
I don't eat octopus anymore because they're so fucking smart. I just feel bad
That's
for
good.
fucking the smart creatures. But so you don't eat mashed potatoes, or you don't eat what whipped cream or apple pie? That sticks to your plate. What else sticks to your
Ha
plate?
ha
Any kind of barbecue sauce.
Mac and
What
cheese.
else?
ha.
Hollandaise sauce. He's like, dang it, he got me.
That got me. Where the hell my scissors go? Cheers, everybody in chat, by the way. Hope everyone's having a great afternoon. What's everybody smoking on? I am about to roll up some Rainbow Runs. LMP, yes, it's a Kiwi classic. I want to try that cake in a cup. I haven't been able to find it in any of the British stores around here. Like here in Canada, we have British stores, but it also caters to Aussies and Kiwis and stuff like that. In Scotland, of course. Because if it's no Scottish, it's crap. Can't find my scissors. My cutting scissors. I found them. What, the cat take them away? Wouldn't be surprised.
So I was wondering, has anyone actually planned ahead to get some seed started beginning of last month here to get ready for like a holiday harvest? I know I started a bunch of stuff right at the end of August. I'm actually got everything sexed out. I'm probably going to be transplanting everything this weekend. A few days we're flipping over. I'm hoping to be harvesting stuff like first week of December and have everything cured up. So like Christmas morning, I have like a nice sampling of fresh jars to crack open and Merry Christmas to myself.
And that's in a nutshell. I think you just nailed what I wish to have again. In the future, it's been like a year or year and a half, maybe, a very like instability basically in my garden. Moved out of my old house, and now I've been basically kind of a welcome guest, but basically still a guest. And so I couldn't, set up my garden, perfectly the way that I wanted to. Thankfully, I was able to have a garden here, so that's been really, honestly, miraculous. But I'm looking forward to not only setting up my garden and having it my way and just being able to walk into my garden and have everything, like literally everything where I put it and not moved for some reason, not moved out of the way for the laundry or whatever shit, right? But the big thing is that I want to have like you say, like my Christmas harvest or my freaking spring harvest. Like I used to be able to plan for this stuff so easily, and so like it's not that hard. And I've said before, as growers, we always basically think in the future. We're always planning ahead. We're always planting seeds for the future. A lot of us, probably people in the chat, are probably going to nod as soon as I say this. Not only do we have the seeds picked out for the next run, but a lot of times we have the seeds picked out for the run after that, right? So we're always like waiting for every single project that's stacked up, and it's such I guess you could say it's kind of an annoying process, maybe, but the end result is these wonderful gifts we give to ourselves where we have amazing flour we can crack open on freaking Christmas morning or something, right? Or some special holiday, like we've been saving that jar and boom, here you go. It was perfect. A friend of yours gets married or something. You're the best man. You get to bring a jar of amazing weed, right? When they're having the ceremony. Like this is the kind of stuff that we live for, right? And we forget sometimes, at least I forgot that shit was possible because my garden, it's been a struggle to keep it alive. So it'll be nice basically to get back to that kind of situation. That's a nice reminder, North Star, honestly.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of the same situation. Not that I couldn't do it, but I've been so many projects of things I want to hunt down and doing like pheno hunts where I'm not actually planting anything to grow a nice plant to smoke. I'm looking for a little something and I'm going to re-veg it. I haven't actually ran a run that's not being hunted out or some reason where I'm actually taking clones or I'm re-vegging stuff in years. This is actually the first time I've actually went in, planted seeds, tossed the males out. I've never done that for years now. I haven't just tossed all the males out because I'm always looking through them too. So I just tossed them. I didn't bother making space for that. I cut no clones. I'm just flowering everything. I figure if something is that freaking good where I cannot lose it, I can still re-veg it. Otherwise, at this point, I just want to do a simple run like a newbie. Start some seeds, grow them, and that's it. Nothing, no clones taken. Just seed to finish, done. Just simple and keeping it more fun. Just focusing on the plants and just not worrying about what I'm looking for certain traits, or I'm not, like I have to try to have a cut of this one or start taking notes and stuff. I just want to enjoy it without all the other process involved of thinking about breeding it all the time and all that stuff. So
no, it's rare.
Been quite
it's
a
rare
while.
that we get to do that. You're 100% right. Even Bud will basically say it's rare that you get to just have like a run where there's just for yourself.
Whoa.
Giggles.
It's fun.
Speak for the devil.
Cheers, Bud. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Hey, bud.
When's the last time you got to have a run just for giggles, just for fun? Basically, that you didn't need, it wasn't, you didn't have any pressure, or even just part of a run where it was just literally just for giggles for yourself.
I guess all of them. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
To a degree, like, ultimately I grow for myself. The whole purpose. Yeah.
Oh.
That's a good answer. I wasn't expecting that at all.
less in the last so many years due to the pressure of the financial part of things, but
Get that bag open.
Yeah, that's funny.
Crap.
That's great. Only a grower could basically pull open a pound bag of weed and just pull out a joint. It's delightful. I sometimes
yeah, I mean
wonder what
that's
people
the
think about
purpose.
it. Go ahead,
Like
bud.
I've grown for so long, I could not imagine ever like I don't know, having to like buy small amounts of weed or pay for
Fuck, it
like
seems
I don't have
draining.
like
I can tell you from my experience in Los Angeles recently. I'm just like, you want to charge how much for an eighth, and then the eighth is gone in a couple of joints. I mean, it's a maddening, ridiculous process. You know?
yeah.
Yeah, the market isn't made for actual smokers. The market out there is
Seriously.
for the casual travelers and vacation people and
Yep.
everything. A
That's
regular
it.
smoker, you gotta be a millionaire just to be to be a smoker. Just go to the shop
That's it.
and drop
That's it.
$200 a day on whatever you're going to smoke, pretty much.
No, seriously, because we've talked about this any number of times. If you go to a dispensary in California or Oregon, it doesn't really matter. The entire West Coast, Washington, Oregon, California, you basically have the same standards for top shelf in the dispensary. And if you've ever had good weed at all, you're going to want that top shelf if you can get it. Well, that top shelf shit in California was like $60 an eighth. Here in Oregon, it's $40 an eighth. It's, I think, just a tiny bit cheaper in Washington. So basically, you're spending 40, $50 just for a couple, 3 joints a day? Shut the fuck up. That's ridiculous. That's not.
Well, yeah, I mean, I still question like, okay, so like on the wholesale level, the price of a pound is dropped drastically. Like what I think is, yeah, we should do away with the eighth and then go back to quarters for that same pricing. Like that's like, wait, they're only paying X amount for the fee, but they're still charging 60 an eighth or whatever. That's 6,400 a pound, you know, and they're trying to pick up pounds for like 1,000, 1,100, whatever, this low ass price.
Not only
Like,
that, but if you actually sold quarters, you could totally sell them. I mean, it would change the entire market. This is obviously a fantasy and only our own
and the
minds,
truth
right? We
is
have to
like
admit that. But you could sell them in mason jars. Like, think of all the crazy waste that they have in the stupid fucking packaging. I mean, every
yeah,
time I bought a weed, it was always in shitty little plastic packaging or the useless little glass jars. You could sell them in actually useful mason jars that people would reuse for. I don't know, what do people
and the
reuse little
thing
mason
with an
jars for? They reuse
eighth
them for something.
is like a true eighth. Okay, it's top shelf. You're right from the beginning. You're almost out of weed. Where like with a quarter, at least for like a day, you feel like you got a few buds, you know. But an eighth, literally, like bam, you're already like, oh, there's only a teeny bit left.
Seriously,
Yeah.
it's inhumane.
Speaking of waste, here's what we get in Ontario for a lot. We also get the this is not the legal market, but we also get the, what do you guys call these type of
Mylars.
Mylar. We also have Mylar at the legal market, but a lot of it comes like this, and like these great big plastic containers, which is garbage most of the time. But I reuse them because I can use them for stuff. But a lot of the time, though, a lot of people just toss it in the garbage. What a waste! They don't even recycle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and seriously, like, what are you going to use those little tiny glass jars for? I mean, for one, they have this shitty plastic lids. You couldn't really reuse them for what if you were a home cook or something? You're not going to reuse it for sauce or jam or anything else because it'll just eat into that plastic. If they were to use like an actual mason jar with like a mason jar lid, fuck, you could reuse it. They could have a recycling program where you took them back to the store and they could wash them out, you know, take them back to the producer. But no, that's just super magical.
Yeah, I'm not a
I
fan
feel
of
like-
keeping
I
my
bet they
butt
do that in
in
Germany.
plastic, frankly.
Pardon?
So I'm not a fan of keeping my butt in plastic at all, really. It's like
I know it, 100%.
I mean, glass
think-
is better. It's just
You're
so much
breaking.
more longevity to it.
This is something that I think people in general, not just weed people in general, need to focus on more. There's been so much evidence that basically people remember the what's the BPA stand for? Polyphenol, for whatever the fuck it's called. But basically, BPA was famous for having estrogen-like effects on people, which people were like, "Wait, what? Estrogen-like effects? Sounds like a sex trans." Literally, from a water bottle, you're getting these essentially sex hormone replacement therapy stuff. Like people are like, "No, thank you for that." But how do I put this? People have heard now about microplastics. How do I put it? The name is escaping me right now for the Teflon compounds. Anyway, all these forever compounds basically that we're encountering. There's more and more evidence that, first of all, it's in all of our tissues, and second of all, there's more and more evidence that there are negative consequences to that. We, I think, increasingly need to focus on both as weed people, because the weed that the components in weed actually eat into plastic, I guess. So it's a direct, for example, silicone. A lot of people used to store dabs in silicone containers until people realized the dab terpenes basically were eating into the silicone and interacting with the silicone in an unpredictable way. Maybe it's safe, maybe it's not safe. We really don't know. So you're better off using something like glass or stainless steel, right? But we're starting to discover this now with pots and pans and foods. Most of the foods that we buy are packaged in plastics, most of which have not been tested in any way. Or if they have been tested, it's only under very limited circumstances, for example, at room temperature, and not even at the hot temperatures in the back of a truck during delivery temperatures, basically. So when you think of a truck in Los Angeles, for example, or in Southern California, that truck can be 130 degrees. Well, that's not 1,000 degrees on the sun, but that's definitely not room temperature. And there's a lot of plastics that leach compounds basically at 100 degrees and above, right? There's a lot of different, when you look at glues and stuff, they say, please store below 98 degrees Fahrenheit, right? It's basically for, among others, these reasons. Well, sure enough, a lot of our foods are being packaged in these shitty compounds, on and on and on. We're going to have a real awakening based probably in the near future to get away from this kind of stuff. I've been thinking about, like, I'm drinking AeroPress coffee. I made my coffee in an AeroPress. The AeroPress is free of BPA. They were sure to get rid of BPA years ago, but we don't necessarily know that they're free of every single dangerous plastic compound. It's not like I'm an anti-plastic person. I think plastic is wonderful, but if you're consuming it, we don't really know the safety consequences of it, especially if you do it for a lifetime. So I'm thinking, like, fuck, one of these days, honestly, I'm gonna stop using this AeroPress and go for I'm gonna finally break down and buy an espresso machine that has only steel path. Hopefully, like that's the ideal anyway. Because if the water's stored in a plastic tank or something, we're back to square one. I
I
don't
think
know.
another thing that we're all missing out on
Go ahead.
when it comes to a lot of the plastics and chemicals is that there's so many new plastic and chemical compounds that we've introduced to ourselves in the past several decades here. We might test them to see how dangerous they are in themselves to us. We don't a lot of times test the reaction between each other. Like, how does my plastic bottle I'm drinking with, or like you said, the coffee machine, how does that interact with the makeup somebody's putting on their face?
Yep.
Or the toothpaste interacts with the deodorant you're using? I mean, just come in contact with each other. They could have kind of reactions that we really haven't done a lot of interactive testing yet to see. They might be safe in their own, but when you mix them with something else, all of a sudden you got some kind of dangerous chemical reaction happening on your skin or wherever else in your house because you're spraying air fresheners
that's
around.
A real thing. Yeah.
In your face or yeah.
That's a real thing.
Look, all the ingredients are in food nowadays. I mean, how they interact with the chemicals in the air that you're spraying in the air to freshen your air up with.
Well, and like you said, the word microplastics, and like they found it inside like chicken eggs, like hatched chickens, like it's all the fish. It's definitely in ourselves. Like, yeah, microplastics. It's just part of life on Earth at this point.
Looks that way.
I'm just trying to Google if there's been instances, because I feel like there have been stories of this, but I was like, oh, I don't remember any of the details. So this is basically like gossip. I was like, have there been instances where makeup products interacted with some other compound in the environment and became poisonous? Sounds like a James Bond plot or something.
Sounds like Batman with the Joker and all the
right
poisonous mix of the makeups.
Yeah, and like makeup products worldwide, like fucking $1 trillion industry. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, you look at the labels, a lot of them things, you're like, oh my God, I can't pronounce but 5% of the stuff on the back of this thing. I mean, the shampoos. I mean, and then if you look at all the ingredients and some of the crappy food that you can eat, some of this artificial stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of chemicals and everything nowadays mixed in with the fertilizers outside, and then whatever chemicals are off gassing in your car when you smell that new car smell when you're sitting there. I mean,
they say that's the
like
smell of poison, right? Seriously. No, a lot of the smells that we enjoy, like I love the smell of leather. That's apparently not good for you, but fuck it, I enjoy it. You know what can I tell you? What else? Yeah, that new car smell. Evidently, those are volatile organic compounds that you don't really want to be smelling. Paint, for example, a lot of people like the smell of paint. That's volatile organic compounds. Same thing.
Gas.
Talk about gas. Yeah, 100%. The gas in the
I love the smell of gas.
gas station is very bad for you. It's a volatile organic compound. So,
But I'm not gonna go start sniffing it or nothing.
believe it or not, I've known people that go to gas stations and they don't huff gas to get high, but they go and they like inhale the gas. Like growing up, fuck, it was a bunch of old timers too. Like, well, I guess you wouldn't know any of those people that I talk about, but you just take my word for it. Some old timers they would literally talk about how they love the smell of gas. Go ahead.
California, for instance, I've been some other states where I'm like, oh, the gas nozzle is just the nozzle that goes in, but California, there's this plastic thing on the end of it that keeps the vapors from coming out or whatever. But you go to, I think even in Nevada or some states, they still have just the old nozzle that leaks out the vapor when you're filling up.
Getting back to plastics and everything, look at the old McDonald's trays they used to give out, the styrofoam. That shit can't be
right.
That shit can't be good. The friggin'
Oh yeah, styrofoam. Ooh, that's
Oh man, I used to actually remind my friends don't microwave in styrofoam because I'd be over at a friend's house or at one time at my friend's office basically, and everyone there for lunch microwaved their like cup of noodles or whatever in styrofoam, and I was just like, "Are you fucking on drugs? This is so toxic." People had no idea. Sure enough, if you Google, "Can you microwave styrofoam?" It's a big fucking no because it's like flashing red lights practically.
But then like all those cup of soups are in, you could pour hot water, but a lot of people just put them in the microwave.
Yeah.
By the bill, like, they sell those things by the case, like
no, seriously, every time I go to Costco, I was just thinking about it. I was like, fuck, every single time I go to Costco, like every single checkout line, it's like cup of noodle, cup of soup. It might be the like Maruchan, just basically regular ramen noodles, but a lot of times it's the cup of soup. And the most amusing thing to me is that it doesn't matter if it's just some stereotypical bearded white guy or an Asian person, still cup of noodle, cup of noodle, cup of noodle. I don't know. They must sell $1 trillion in cup of noodles every year.
Well, I saw a post like there's actually two big operations, but this one boat, I guess, brings in, I don't know, 80 tons at a time. What do you call it? The plastic island that floats out in the Pacific, that even in that thing, the amount that we're able to take out of it on a daily basis, there's more like, it's not really going to do much of a dent because on a daily basis, we're still more plastics are ending up in the ocean that end up in this giant.
Well, what that garbage patch is, it's even more confusing than I think a lot of people realize. It's not even like just floating plastic bags in a big old raft or something. I think that's basically how people visualize it, that it's just literally like a big fucking raft a mile long, just literally covered in garbage bags. But it's not that. It's actually basically, when you're talking about microplastics, it's essentially particulate matter of plastics that are spread over literally several thousand square miles. And basically the fish, as they swim through it, all they see is just like a cloud of fucking microplastic basically that's kind of accumulated in this dead current zone basically.
Yeah.
And it's literally like thousands of square miles at this point. It's really quite perverse, honestly. When you look up, the people always assume that the US is the worst at everything. It's kind of a comical way to look at the world, right? Yeah, it's a very cartoonish way to look at the world. But if you look at this is a good example of how the US is not the worst in the world. When you look up worst plastic polluters, it's
Asian.
all Asian countries. And the number one actually is somewhat surprising to me. It's the Philippines. It shouldn't be that surprising because they are one of the number one fishing fleets. And turns out most of the garbage in the Pacific Garbage Patch actually is essentially fishing garbage. It's old fishing lines, fishing lures, nets that broke apart, just literally shit that fell off the boat, plastic bottles that they just tossed off the boat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Philippines, Malaysia,
Well, I
China,
imagine as bad as our country is, we have a trash system, right? And most cities have cans out, and it's not hard to find a place to dump your trash. But a lot of places, yeah, they don't have that kind of infrastructure. And then where does it all go? I
America.
mean, chances are, one, it gets pulled out for recycling. Otherwise, it goes to a landfill, which, okay, there's problems with that. But yeah, even my buddy Robbie, that's been all through Europe, yeah, I think he's flying home today. Couple times he bitches that, because he's like super environmental type, that he can't find trash cans. Like he was in London, and he's like, dude, there's never any trash cans. You're like stuck walking around with your fucking
They got
trash.
rid of those actually on purpose, but it's a really funny, well, not funny, it's a really interesting thing, rather. The same thing was in Istanbul. I asked my friend years ago, I stayed basically at my friend's house in Istanbul. He was my roommate in Vienna, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like everywhere I went in Turkey, they just piled the garbage neatly on every street corner. I was like, haven't they ever thought of maybe putting garbage cans on the street corners? Like, I mean, I felt like a crazy person talking to a normal person, right? Like, I was like, but seriously, it wasn't like the garbage was strewn around on the corner. It was neatly placed on the corner at every. It was like a religious or a monument of garbage, basically. And he was like, no, 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 you don't remember. It was still to that day, actually, they had terrorism. It's kind of calmed down by now. This is like 15, 20 years ago. But he was like, there was this organization called the PKK that was very similar in the way they worked, I guess, to the IRA in Northern Ireland. They violently opposed the Turkish government, and they did so by planting bombs, basically. And among other things, they planted bombs in garbage cans, which blew up kids. It blew up passing mothers with strollers. It was super fucking violent. And as a result, the city of Istanbul, and I think even a few other major cities in Turkey, removed all their garbage cans. And so literally, like I mean, you could still, I guess, plant a bomb in a pile of garbage, but people weren't likely to sift through a pile of garbage, basically, whereas they would walk by a garbage can to throw garbage in, and that's when the terrorists would like blow up the garbage cans. So I guess it just changed the entire focus, and it changed that mode of killing people. So in England, basically in London, because the IRA kept leaving mail package bombs, trash bombs, car bombs, they basically got rid of the garbage cans. They did all kinds of when you go around London, for example, they have all the, I can't remember what they're called, but the metal posts, oh, there's a word for it, but I can't think of the word for it. Anyway, that keep cars away from buildings. It's because cars kept blowing up right next to fucking buildings. Anyway, go ahead, bud.
Well, like in California, and I think the other states have went with this. You know, we ban those, whatever you call those cheap bags. Now you have to pay 10 cents or bring your own bags. But like I visibly have noticed the roadsides and the places that trash. I mean, it's not like people don't litter, but you don't see those bags that, like, back when the height of all those free bags, those little shitty thin ones, they were everywhere. They were just like trash on the side of the road, where now that you have to pay 10 cents, and the bags that they sell you for 10 cents hold like 3 times as much, and pretty much thicker plastic that what when they used to give you those free whatever you call those bags, and when I ran a fruit stand, I used to buy cases of those things. That was like all part of running the business, yeah, those getting rid of those was a good thing. Now I remember at the time, people were all, it was changed. Like at first, the store didn't give you free bags, and people bitched, and some people think, oh, that's too liberal or whatever you want to, whoever, like. But now that it's years and everyone's gotten used to it, and most people have their own bags they bring in the store, yeah, like over the years, the amount of those shitty plastic bags that were littered and everywhere pretty much has drastically gone down. Like,
well, Newsom just came out and banned all the bags a couple days ago, so even the bigger ones are gone now. They're going to be gone pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I notice, like, I'm lazy sometimes, even though I have them in my car or whatever, so I pay to get bags. But most people at the grocery store over these years, no, they come in prepared. Like, they don't use their bags. They got their whatever canvas ones or whatever. A lot of those are made with plastics too, but whatever.
Recyclable,
they're reusable, and people just reuse them. And but I don't know how many years ago. Oh, that was a big thing. People were pissed. Like, mainly what I remember even going through it was the change. People really don't like change. But now that it's years later, the results of such a simple thing are obvious. Like, it's obvious.
No, my take on that whole thing is, for me, I have cats. The bags from the store are great to keep your litter box into. That goes in the trash can.
Yeah, no, I use those bags.
Plastic bags to scoop the litter with.
Like, I use those bags to do business. Well, I also use paper bags. But then the store I shop at, where I can get the 10-cent bag, they're clear, right? They're good bags, but they're clear. If I go to like Albertsons, the way more expensive store, oh, they have white bags. And yeah, it's good to throw. Yeah. And then I go to Smart and Final and buy, it's like $60-$70 for the paper bags. Cause you
think the Louis Vuitton, if Louis Vuitton had a grocery store, would they slap like the Louis Vuitton LV shit all over the plastic bag? Or would it be like a leather bag instead of a plastic bag? You pay like $40 for a banana and you get it in a leather bag.
But like, okay, we've seen the results of that in the grocery store or in the stores, right? We started this conversation with all the wasted packaging in cannabis, which is a massive thing. Like,
the problem, yeah.
Like especially when you go annual and then you look at how much tonnage of this shit over 5 years, 10 years, it's growing to every state around the whole world because whatever packaging
adds to labor costs
here,
too, adds to fuel costs. I mean, you don't forget, it's not just the waste of the garbage at the end of it, but you have to actually fold up the boxes. Someone has to do that.
And there's a couple brands that have made biodegradable, or their little thing is but they're spending a lot more on packaging, where you think the cannabis industry would have more of that and less of all this imported waste, because that's the other thing. None of these containers are manufactured in the United States. I mean, and years ago, I must have imported million at least or more silicone containers, because in like 2011, 12, 13, when I had Boost at the High Times Cup, out of all the things I sold, the thing that I made the most money on and was the hottest item were those silicone containers, right? They were as low as like 6 cents each, right? I mean, when you buy them at bulk. But when you dealt with the factory, there was 3 grades of it, right? There's the cheapest one that was whatever silicone. There was a middle range one, and then there was one, I forget how they labeled it, like, but food grade or whatever. And I know from being in the business that most other people bringing them in, the difference was whether you paid 6 cents or 18 cents per, except that we were selling those things for like 2 for $5. Okay,
Mm.
nothing but pure profit. Like they were $2, $3 each, and you were getting them for cents, right? I opted for the good ones. I had really good ones, the 18-cent one, but most of my competition sold the 6-cent one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even a lot of my business was middlemaning to other, you know, I imported it to, you know, people bought it bulk. And yeah, I'd lay out, oh, you can get these ones for this price, this price, this price. And most of the people that said, yeah, all right, I'll take 50,000 would go with the cheapest one, even though I'd send them the information, what the factory said about, they had ratings on it. There's names, I forget the whole thing, but there's different. And it's the same thing. You realize, even at that time, it was great making the money for the containers for cannabis. But I remember thinking, oh, people are going to make all kinds of things with the silicone. A lot of, you can buy baking sheets, pans, spatulas, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I'm not so sure that stuff's really, yeah, like, I guess the FDA has said, oh, it's safe or whatever, but no, like a glass or
you can
a
visibly
metal
see that some of
pan.
them are not as good as others, you know, when you buy like kind of lower, or sometimes you'll get like a freebie or something. I don't know, T-Mobile Tuesday spatula or some shit, you know, it'll be like the cheapest shit you can get. And if you actually use it, like the spatula will stain, you know, it'll always be like, for example, with T-Mobile, it'll be like pink. So it would stain and you'd have like brown stuff on there. Well,
Well,
that's
and then
what's supposed to happen to good
like
silicone.
there was a thing where I think it was the better ones had like this film, like a dust, like you had to wipe them out before you used them, because the factory or whatever the process was, there was like this film that was like oh, you barely see it, but oh, you were putting concentrate or whatever in there. Oh, then you would you wouldn't, you had to wipe them out. Which, yeah, I mean, considering they're made in a factory and yeah, they're not sterile or necessarily clean.
I'm surprised that most people don't realize you're supposed to wash your clothes after you buy them. A lot of people basically take them home and just, you know, wash them right away. And, you know, I understand it because when I was a kid, you know, like I just assumed that, oh, that's the crispest, nicest, you know, way to wear clothes. But no, there's tons of dirt and chemicals and all kinds of shit on there. People have found like cockroach droppings and just what you name it on new clothes, basically, because they come from, you know, factories in Pakistan and Bangladesh, whatever.
And then travel on a ship in the slow boat over here.
Yep. Bob the Rat.
Yeah, I'm always the
back and
type,
forth on top
whenever
of it.
I buy socks or anything, I wash it. Like, that's, and then I'll wear it. I never just put, a couple times. It's not like I've never, but yeah, there's something. Yeah, you put on it makes me itchy, or yeah, no, gotta wash it before you wear it.
Which is annoying because when you buy a fleece and you wash it, then it loses that like cloud fleece, whatever, and turns all piled. Oh, I can't stand that. I mean, it's not like I can't stand it, but I wish you could keep the not the new fleece smell, but the new fleece feel or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What can you do? Well, ladies and gerbils, we'll call last call here. Looks like we're winding down here. We had kind of a fun discussion where we talked about, well, we talked about some relevant stuff actually with microplastics and all that. I think actually it is a very important thing. I remember reading about, well, it was a few years ago that I bought my PAX something or other, PAX 2 or whatever it was. I don't know what they're on now. They're probably on the PAX 5 vaporizer. But they were really proud of the fact that it was an all glass vapor path, which actually I was very happy to buy. There was another one that I think to this day still makes vapes, the Da Vinci something or other. Don't ask me the company. Maybe that's the company. But anyway, Da Vinci, yeah, Da Vinci IQ or some shit. So it must be the company's Da Vinci. And they had like an all glass vapor path, all borosilicate vapor
Yeah, but
path.
ultimately, whatever brand it is buying from a factory and
Yeah,
it's just
probably.
in city China. No, there's this area in this one city that all that is the vapor pen, battery, cartridge, all that. There's only, like anything, a couple of these big operators. There's a lot of middlemen that, on Alibaba in different ways, but ultimately there's big factories pumping those things out by the million in this one area in China.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right. That's one of the reasons why all the vapes basically seem almost the same. Actually, when you say it, you're literally right
Yeah,
because they're probably making the same fucking things in the same fucking factory and changing some parts.
I
And so you
like
wonder, why do they all look
it
alike?
was 10 years ago when I closed it, but for like 3-4 years at the beginning of that e-cigarette cannabis thing, yeah, that's why I had booths at all the High Times and ads in the magazine. And yeah, that some of those same companies are still here today. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
PAX, I remember, yeah, theirs was unique, meaning like they designed it their way. You could always tell it was a PAX. Like way back, you could buy the PAX thing from the factory, but just didn't have the PAX label on it. But it
Huh.
was the same factory that made the PAX, because one thing in China you learn real quick if you're doing business, there's no patent law there, right? So like, even though you can like arrange with a manufacturer, oh, you're making this for me, right? And you're not going to sell it to anyone else. Oh, they don't give a shit about that. They'll agree to anything, and then if it's
No,
popular,
here's the
they're going to
worst
sell the
irony. They
shit out of
do
it.
they do have patent law, but just for Chinese people. They don't give a fuck about
Yeah,
anybody else's patent
yeah,
laws.
no,
They're
they
happy to break
like,
everybody
oh, if
else's
they're
laws.
going to rip, yeah, like come do something about it. Like basically is what
No,
they
they like
built.
to have their cake and eat it too, which, who could blame them, right? Like, who wouldn't want to have their cake and also eat it? But well, fuck. The rest of us have to pick one. What are you saying here? Cake in a Cup is saying Duncan Trussell was getting an insulin spike from his vape pen, a flavored.
Ooh,
I don't know who that is.
that's
Is it
not
a
good.
famous Australian of some kind? I'm still kind of puzzled that the Australians have such a relatively humble breakfast. I'm like, I don't know, the Aussies have never struck me as like, I don't know, demure people. They seem very louder than life and everything, like when I think if I assumed that an Aussie was going to eat a steak, it would be like a fucking pound and a half steak. It'd be like I don't even know, it'd be like a 20-ounce.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
isn't that
My
because
understanding
like
of
that's
Nope,
Aussies.
how
90.
they've marketed Australia? I mean, even what's the beer? Foster's
Oh,
in
they
the
hate it
ad,
too, though. Yeah,
and they
Foster's is
don't like
terrible too,
that's
though.
yeah, that's what it's
Foster's
like.
Aussie
Like
for
I'm
me.
one thing
The
about
little
our
can.
media
Oh my
is
gosh,
like
piss
they've
water.
they've painted a lot of pictures of certain places that for whatever reason Americans just take at face value, you
Yeah,
know?
I guess so. And here, meanwhile, they're eating like 15 calories for breakfast, all demure and with their pinky up, probably, and saluting the queen or some shit. I don't even know. Like,
Yeah, I think most of my Australian culture comes from Crocodile Dundee.
Well,
seriously, right? Yeah, that's
like even Dee
crazy.
mentioned
That's what I think of.
earlier about the British food places, but then both of these places are, what do you call it? They're part of the England, right, or whatever that whole setup is, right? British, uh, like ultimately the Queen is there. The
UK
British Queen or King now
king
is
now.
still the of Australia and Canada, like ultimately, right? Like, well, I think some of those countries are like bigger, more powerful, their own economy, like, why the fuck are they still considered British Empire?
Seriously, it makes me really wonder. I don't know. I don't want to make fun of any, because like to me, I don't know, especially this new king, I'm just like for real, but whatever. I don't know, tradition, I guess. I don't know. Australia is
Well,
pretty,
there's a financial
yeah, like
thing to
30
it
million
too,
people,
right?
40 million people.
Like I'm
Pardon?
sure Canada pays some money to England, and like that's part of it, right?
Well, they're
What
part of
case
the
you want to
Commonwealth, but I
talk?
wonder, do they still pay money?
It was like blackmail money.
I'm
We said no to the king, and we said we're gonna smack you with our hockey sticks if you come to try to collect.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what that arrangement is, but it seems old world for sure.
Apparently, it costs Canadian taxpayers $58 million a year to have the House of Windsor be their monarchs. This is
Well,
according
in
to
the scheme of government,
ctvnews.ca.
58 million, that's not much.
That represents $1.55 per Canadian.
Well,
Canadian funds, of course, eh?
To me, that's even too much. Fuck. What do you get for your buck
well,
55? That doofus
and
on your
then
wedding?
like a lot of Canada is French. Okay, so wait a second.
Right? How do they
Like,
feel about it? Who the fuck is this doofus?
somehow the French are support are British Empire, right?
Yeah.
The
No,
French
for real.
Canadians.
Imagine some random French assholes on your money and like you're fucking, I don't know, every courthouse you go to, there's a picture of this random French asshole. How would you feel about it? I'd be
Hey, look,
pretty
it's
annoyed.
Justin Trudeau.
That's
Just saying.
it.
And just
Pick
to
them.
the people watching, we're talking about French people from Quebec, not real
Now,
French. French
okay,
men from
this
France.
Justin
I
guy,
can make fun of regular
like, don't
French
you
people.
guys have term limits, or is it like he's been around a long ass time? It seems like.
Yeah,
Like, when
no.
does he leave?
As soon as the voters vote him out, his father was the prime minister before, as well.
So prime minister means you like it's not like here you got to get reelected 4 years and max is 8 years
Yeah, Prime
because
Minister's
like
been around for a
that
while.
that dude's been
Yeah,
up
they
there
can.
for I mean I don't know. I know he did something weird with truckers are pissed at him and there's a lot of memes. I don't know any of the truth of if he's good or bad, but
I think he's a
the
fucking communist.
yeah, the overall vibe I get is oh people hate this guy.
Yeah, I think he's a commie. He needs to go to fucking Cuba.
Yeah, I think our prime minister's on the way out the door. Everyone's calling for early election here.
That's good.
There's a
Well,
story on Reddit about Jean Chrétien, speaking of French Canadians or whatever, and they were saying, I guess the
Yeah,
story is about how he choke slammed some dude that annoyed him. I can't remember exactly what the story was, but they were like, "Oh yeah, this is the most badass prime minister." Literally, I can't remember what the story was, but he was prime minister at the time and choke slammed some guy on the ground.
Like
yeah.
the Undertaker coming into
Yeah, right.
the prime minister.
Finish him.
Oh my!
Randy Savage, president of the United States. Too bad.
Like that would be
Oh, that
hilarious.
guy at like 51, poor guy. Fucking hell. Anyway. Hulk
yeah,
Hogan
somehow
lives
a
and
week
Macho
or
Man
so
dies.
ago,
The world is not fair. What's
some
that, bud?
clip I saw was remember when the dude threw the shoe at Bush, right?
Yeah, and he
Like,
dodged
That's
it. Yeah,
awesome.
I gotta give him
like
credit for
yeah,
dodging it too.
like just when you look at that clip and how slick he was, you're like, yeah, like, yeah. Especially
Missed.
when you like
There's
the
some Matrix
contention
shit,
of the
yep.
time, like there he was, like saying whatever in front of these people. That the one dude just flipped out and said, "Fuck," threw a shoe at him.
Then he had to walk over
Like-
one shoe on his foot.
Like
I
that's
didn't
back
get
when
that.
like there was still some like yeah politics was like raw. Now it's like some other fucking morphed into some other weird shit.
Yeah, it's a blood sport
Or do you
now.
bring an extra shoe with you so you have a shoe to throw?
That's
Not to
right.
walk
That's
over?
right. I mean, I always carry an extra shoe. Why wouldn't you? The only
Sure.
question is, do you carry an extra left or an extra right? You'd have to, by right, have to carry an extra pair, really, but just carry them around your neck. I don't know, whatever. Well, ladies and gerbils, maybe we'll start bouncing out of here pretty soon. What does Cake in a Cup say here? Ever since America kicked the king out, they've been locked in a struggle to see who will be the new king. Fuck, I thought we had settled for a long time. We weren't going to have kings, but now it seems like we want somebody, or we have somebody who wants to be. I don't know. Cake in the Cup actually is saying British royals in Oz are just a ceremonial thing. We keep them because there's more old people. The last time we voted on leaving the Commonwealth. Oh, that's good to know, or at least good for me. I think it's so stupid that you have a king. Every time I look at all these European countries or Thailand, all these countries have kings. I'm just like, what fucking year is this? You know, it's ridiculous. You have this monarch that basically makes money and lives in a palace and gets to decide all kinds of shit for people just because they were born that person. Fuck right off with that shit.
Well, I mean, you got to give them credit. The small little island country at a certain time, what, a couple 100 years ago, 100 years ago, like literally had outposts everywhere. Okay, like yeah, the Australia, Canada, they have things in Latin America too.
Well, the UK was one of the biggest empires in the world for sure. Maybe even the
Yeah.
biggest, I want to say. I can't remember honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
But
they were
they always said
like
that the sun never set because it never did. Like basically the Bahamas, fucking you're right. What
India.
there's an
They
English
like had
colony
their
in South
paws in
America, the
India.
Suriname or some shit. I can't remember. No, that's French.
They had their tentacles spread out pretty good.
Yeah.
They
Well,
were
they were in the
trying to
Caribbean,
control
all
the
over the
fucking
Caribbean.
planet. Like that, their goal was conquer and have, take.
Mhm. They got mega rich on it too. They got mega rich just strip mining in India and stuff. It's crazy. Anyway, ladies and gerbils, interesting discussion. Maybe one of these days we'll flesh it out a little bit more about trying to avoid plastics, chemical infiltration of our cannabis. What's the joke from oh my fucking God, the Stanley Kubrick movie where it's the end of the world, not the Clockwork Orange. All right, I can't think of anything right now. I was going to make a joke and I couldn't think of it, so we'll just pretend that I didn't make that joke. Who wants to go first, ladies and gerbils? Bud Kilowatt looks like he's got
All
that.
right. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you Saturday, D.
Cheers, mate.
All right, bud.
Speaking of which, D, are we doing the takeover this Saturday?
Yes, sir. Same bad time, same bad channel, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Sweet.
Higher Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
That's the
On
way.
Streamadero and the Flavors channel.
Good to hear it.
Well,
Norse,
we're a
go
minute
for it.
short of 420, so I'm going to go ahead and blaze this real quick.
Go for it.
Oh,
Good
cheers,
job.
everybody.
Let's have a dab too. We can all join the dab.
And then while I'm on, I wanted to go remind everybody, as this is last week for my the current sale we have on Genetic Supply, which if you're into sativas, you need to check it out because I have both the Colombian menu, which is UK cheese times Santa Marta Colombian Gold, and the Panama Red menu, both 30% off.
Sounds good.
Now, if sativa is not your thing, you like more indica, I also have the Purple Urkel Back Cross menu on, which is Purple Urkel times Royal Purple. So it's Purple Urkel times Purple Urkel times Purple Mayhem. Lots of fun, more indica dominant, heavy hitting kind of stuff like that on that menu. So got about a week left, less week left to the month. Jump on that and score 30% off, no code needed. GeneticSupply.com. And we are probably, yes, 420. Now I have official 420 puff.
Right on.
All right, folks. Thanks for having me on, guys. Everyone make the most out of your day. You never know if you're going to get another one. Take it easy.
Cheers, North Star. Good to see you.
Later.
I underheated my dab here. Hate when I do that. Ladies and gerbils, that's the price that I pay for doing these cold starts, but never fear, I can always reheat later. That didn't rhyme. Go for it, D. Do your thing.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for all you lurkers and non-lurkers and chatters in the chatter, chatting away. Ooh, there's a new one. I hope everyone has a great rest of the week. I will see you Saturday, like I said, on the Fumadoro and the Flavors channel, or Fumadoro channel, one of the two. Don't forget to check me out on my YouTube channel, dzombie_745, where I do shows, pre-shows. I wanted to get that in after Jimmy popped. I saw him
You
in the
want to
last.
make sure you get that out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's what she said. Cheers, everybody.
Wasn't the best dab that I've ever had in my life, but it still managed to be a dab. Thank you, Dee, very much. Do I want to reheat this? No, I can wait. That's not a big deal. Thinking out loud here. Ladies and Germans, or Germans, well, ladies and Germans. If you're wondering what happened to the Fumadoro website, it is still there, but I took most of it down. So if you're puzzled, oh shit, there's no way to get to the seeds and stuff. Yeah, I took it down. I'm really frustrated right at the moment and just not interested in dealing with the problems. I by rights should completely revamp the website and take some things off and add some things to it. And I just frankly don't feel like it right now. So I've taken it down. Where does that leave the Fumadoro brand and everything else? I honestly don't know. At this point, I've been kind of clinging to life with that stuff for the longest time. Part of me wants to continue because honestly, a year ago, basically before all the shenanigans in my life happened, I was ready to unleash. I was working on and ready to unleash some really fun stuff, some really cool work that I'd been putting together for a long ass fucking time, and now it's just been literally sitting in hard drives. I lost it on a corrupted hard drive, found it on the new stuff, and well, thankfully, I think most of it's there. But anyway, long story short, there was all this shit that I invested in basically behind the scenes in terms of work and everything else. So, like, part of me really wants to continue with this, but also part of me is really frustrated at the trajectory of it all. You know, I was saying yesterday that it was a year ago that I wanted to have that Jack the Ripper line out, and now a year later, and I'm ready to test the seeds. It's a little frustrating. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll just give it a rest for a moment and just not think about it, not talk about it for a little bit, and we'll see if that changes things. Certainly, when I get my new place, it'll be a hell of a lot easier to actually go through a number of the projects that I have been just hoping to do that just stacked up basically in many cases. So we'll see. I don't know. I should be more patient with it, but it has been a really frustrating process. Before the show today, I was talking to my lawyer and she's lovely and she's very, very competent. And I'm in the best possible hands, but it's enormously fucking frustrating that she admitted to me I'm being sandbagged and this is just going to take a fucking long time and it's going to cost a ton of money and da 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 da. So all these things are really combining to frustrate me in a tremendous degree. So just need to kind of chill out a little bit. So I don't know. We'll pull back on the Fumadoro shit. I'm probably going to pull back on the shows a little bit, but I haven't decided how I'm going to do that. I like the Wednesday show. I don't want to take away Dee's show. So does that mean the Tuesday show goes away? I don't know. I honestly don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll keep it going as it is because it's not a big deal to just turn the show on and then leave it to you guys. So we'll see. We'll see. But in the meantime, like I say, I have to wrap my head around the future somehow. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, ladies and gerbils, good to see everyone. Hardcore, Christoph, who else in the chat here? Cake in a Cup, good to see you, of course. Go Pet a Kangaroo. Salt and Sea Seeds, good to see you. Say that 15 times in a row. Patricia Walker hanging, good to see you, Patricia. Thank you very much. She's saying great show today. Who else in here? Penny Pebbler Ripplers. I think I forgot to say hello to you earlier. JMJ12, good to see you. Who else am I missing? Dankabus Kind. That's why I carry a brick. I like that probably comes up in conversation all the time. If you were to carry a brick, people would be like, why do you carry a brick? Be like, just at some random point of the day. See, that's why I carry a brick. Oh, I understand why. SO Organics also probably carry the brick. I mean, shit, you gotta, honestly, you have to. Like I always say, shit on a brick. I mean, if you wanted to shit on a brick, how are you going to find a brick in the middle of nowhere? You got to have a brick with you if you're going to shit on it, right? So, anyway, ladies and Germans, I think I said earlier, we're going to cut it now that it's delightfully absurd. Thanks, of course, Dee, and ladies and Germans, thanks for hanging. If I didn't shout you out, I'll shout you out next time, I hope. Thanks very much for hanging. Be kind, be decent, be gentle, don't be fucking pricks, dicks, or lunatics. Puff something wonderful, and until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen.